There she was, standing in all her momness gloria at the cafeteria doors, calling my name, waving with one hand, like this, and cradling a plate of food in the other. I turned my back to her and saw both Heather and Jennifer giggling and overheard some other kid at our table say something about how if that was his mom, he'd be so embarrassed. I was humiliated. I wanted to run. I would have rather have been struck dead by lightning. She continued to call out my name and in doing so revealed the nickname my family had for me, Ilene. My prayer to disappear became frenetic. I thought that perhaps if I ignored her, she'd disappear, a bad dream erased with a quick rub of the eye. No such luck. As a 12-year-old, I severely lacked insight, the ability to recognize Mom for the woman she was, much less appreciate her. I mean, she was Mom. She enforced rules, she made me do the dishes, she shuttled me to soccer practices, signed forms for school, sewed hems, and she worked. She always had a full-time job so that when my other friends were being greeted by their moms at 3 p.m. with a plate of just-out-of-the-oven cookies, I was being shuffled into a van on the way to the babysitter's house with other wannabe Cleaver family kids. On the very rare occasion that Mom stayed home from work, I would come home not to a plate of cookies, but to a house filled with the aroma of whatever was emanating from the pressure cooker that hissed and gurgled on the stovetop. Surely some kind of Cuban meat and rice combination locked in its belly. No cookies, not a single one in sight, ever. It was also at 12 that I had reached the top of the totem pole, the pinnacle of Mark Twain Elementary School. As a 6th grader, I was king of the hill. I knew the lay of the land, the best swing to use, the coldest drinking fountains, where to hang out in the cafeteria during lunch in order to have access to the snack table before anyone else. Very important. I was, in fact, cool. My friends and I were especially cool during lunch. We had our table where we sat every day, and no underclassmen dared mess with our seats. They weren't assigned or anything. Everyone just knew. And when things happened, good or bad at Mark Twain, they always happened at lunch. Like when Luke Milligan downed the 10 mustard packets, he was forevermore a hero in our eyes. A virtual wizard among the smaller kids. No one forgot the mustard challenge, not for a while anyhow. And so it happened that I sealed my fate in the history of lunchtime happenings on no particular day as a 6th grader. On this day, Mom happened to be at home, and I knew not to get my hopes up for some fabulous confectionery treat. I walked into the cafeteria as I had every single day before. While my friends were talking, we grabbed our pizzas, took our seats, and began tearing into the cardboard pizza. Engrossed in a conversation with Jennifer, and just as I was about to reply to some questions she'd asked about a note that was passed, Heather, her finger extended just beyond my shoulder, leaned into our conversation and said, "Eileen, isn't that your mom?" It was at that very moment my ears picked up a voice all too familiar. Mom had successfully gotten the attention of the entire cafeteria. I had no choice but to get up from my seat and go to her, basically letting everyone know that this lunatic belonged to me. "What are you doing here?" I tried, making myself as small as possible, hoping no one would remember this tomorrow. "I brought you some lunch. Mira, steak y rice y un ice cream," she said with a smile on her face. "I wanted to have lunch contigo." Oh my God, Mom, this is so embarrassing. Fine, whatever, let's just go sit over there. We walked to an empty table code Loser Town, and she sat across from me, prattling on about nothing in particular or significant while I ate my pan-fried steak, rice, and ice cream bar, never once making eye contact with her. Once I'd cleaned my plate, I shoved the vessel quickly in her direction, got up from the table, and rejoined my friends. Mom got up and left. Turns out Mom's appearance didn't ruin my cool status. I successfully finished out the year, And in all the days that followed the pan-fried steak delivery in the 6th grade, she never once showed up again. It would not be until many years later, as a freshman in college, that I would feel a twinge of regret and sadness. At 18 and thousands of miles from home, excited to be out from under the collective thumb of my parents, I missed my family. I distinctly remember walking among other hoodie-clad students on campus, trudging to an early chemistry lecture, when I saw a car that looked like Mom's. For a second, I was really excited. I thought perhaps she'd come out to see me and surprise me. But the car wasn't hers, of course. In that moment, as I continued to class, I wanted so desperately to tell that 12-year-old me to enjoy her time with Mom, because there would come a day when she wouldn't show up, or she couldn't show up. As a mother now myself, oh man, I get it. I know she made that choice to spend time with me when she could have taken a well-deserved break for herself. I know that lunch was her way of spending time with me and loving me, the kind of love that mothers have that reaches far beneath the flesh and long beyond the horizon. I know now, because this is how I love my daughter. That afternoon in the cafeteria, one of the sniveling onlookers, probably a plebe 5th grader, said to me, his recessed dirty finger pointed at my nose, "Ha ha, look what your mom did. She brought you lunch." To that child, I would love to say, "Ha ha, look what my mom did. Were you ever that lucky?"